everyone, and welcome to Bristol's Nutrition Time. I'm here with Olivia, our nutritionist, and today we're going to be speaking about inflammation and what it does to your body. So, Olivia, do you want to tell us what inflammation is?
Yes, so today we're going to be talking about inflammation. Inflammation is either a natural way for the body to protect itself. So it can be that for a short amount of time if you have, let's say, a cut and you notice that it gets red around it, maybe a little inflamed. That is good inflammation, which we'll go over. And then there's also another form of inflammation which can happen over a long period of time, and that's not so great for our body. It happens internally. It can be triggered by autoimmune disease if there's nothing to fight it off in the body. And it can also cause regular tissue in your body to become damaged. So we want to make sure that we're preventing that type of inflammation in our body, which we can do through nutrition.
Okay, and what are the different types of inflammation?
So the two different types are acute, which would mean short term. So that is a good sign in the body. That would be the same thing as your cut, or let's say a swollen ankle if you sprained it. That's the body trying to fight off all of the bacteria, whether there's a cut that wants to get it infected or it's helping to keep that ankle protected. So that's acute. That is good. I mean, we don't really want to get cut up, but...
Well, I think if you have like a swollen ankle, it stops you from doing more harm. So
Right.
you're not going to step fully with it, and you're
Right.
going to like know that you can't do certain things.
Exactly.
You know?
It's protecting the body. So that's a good sign of, or that's a good form of inflammation in the body. And then there's also chronic, which is long-term inflammation, which is more serious than the acute. So it can cause severe or gradual damage to the body. So what would happen is that these symptoms can last days, months, years, and the inside of your body is getting attacked. Your body itself is actually attacking itself. So we want to prevent that. We want to be able to fight that off. So that is the two forms, acute and chronic.
Okay, so with the chronic inflammation, does that normally attack your joints? Is that when people say like they just have a lot of pain throughout their joints? Is that what that is?
Yeah, so that can happen to your joints. It can happen to your bones, your organs. That internal inflammation can really hit all those points. So yeah, your joints can get hit, definitely.
So how would I know if I have inflammation?
So there are a lot of different symptoms. For acute, you would really notice that redness, that swelling, maybe you get a fever. That can show you that you're having acute inflammation. But if you have chronic, that's a little more difficult. You may be experiencing some swollen joints like we were talking about, some joint pain, any stiff joints, a loss in appetite, fever, headaches, or even if you're feeling a lot more tired all of a sudden and you've been feeling that for a while. And then also if you're experiencing a loss of energy, if you're tired a lot more of the time.
So that's good. So I would just have a question. Like, so for somebody who likes to go and exercise sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the next day sometimes they just feel really stiff and it's really hard to like go up and down the stairs with my knees. So is that a form of inflammation, or is it just getting old?
So that is just kind of your body recovering. So what would happen with that is that when you're working out, your muscles are breaking down and then they're actually rebuilding themselves as you're working out. So it's a good thing that you're getting sore because it means that your muscles are really working, they're getting built back, and it could be a buildup of lactic acid in the body.
Great, I'll just keep going back then.
But yeah, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. All right. Okay. So what foods would give me inflammation?
So there are a good amount of foods that can give you inflammation. A lot that we see in the standard American diet. So what that would be is a lot of processed foods, whether it's white breads, buns, desserts, sugary desserts that you're buying in the grocery store. Whether it's cheeseburgers you're getting from fast food restaurants, which cheeseburgers aren't always bad. It's just that we want to be able to get the right or the best version of it. So if you're going to McDonald's or Burger King for that, that can really cause some inflammation in the body. And then also, if you are having a lot of sugar, alcohol can affect it as well. So if you're having a lot of alcohol, it can really cause some inflammation in the body. Sugary drinks as well, like sodas, those can be secret enemies to the body as well.
What about, like salt? Like some people sometimes just, like I know some people sometimes have a lot of seafood and then they complain afterwards that they are just not feeling well. Like is that a problem also?
It depends. So moderation is really what the key is. Portion size are our friend. So salt isn't necessarily bad if you just have way too much of it, then which you would get from the processed foods and the fast food. When you're having a lot of those foods, there's a lot of sodium secretly in it. So that can build up, but we need salt in a diet, so as long as you're having a small amount, that's good.
Okay. And what foods might help with inflammation?
Yeah, so foods that help with inflammation, basically all whole foods. Foods that come from the ground, they come from the earth. So for meats, you can have red meat. Red meat's not bad for the body, just depends on where you get it. So if you try to get it without any hormones, if possible, if you can get it from a grass-fed source, but not necessarily, you don't always have to. Those are great options. Chicken, which is a lean meat, turkey, which is a lean meat, and then also fish. Fish is very anti-inflammatory. So I don't know if you like fish.
I love fish.
Yeah. So salmon's a great option. There's all of these omega-3s inside of it, which help to reduce the inflammation in our bodies. So people that either take a fish oil supplement or have about 3 servings of fish a week, they found that their joints don't hurt as much because of the inflammation, so it helps to decrease that. So those are really good for protein. And then for carbohydrates, you can have whole grains, you can have sourdough, those are great options. So whether you're having a whole wheat or whole grain bread, if you want to have brown rice, white rice can be good in moderation as well. And then quinoa is a good carbohydrate. Those are all anti-inflammatory. And then we want to make sure to include a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit onto our meals. So any type of vegetable, any type of fruit, it comes from the earth. Nothing's being changed about it. It's just grown and given to us, and that's really the best form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is there any other ways that we can reduce inflammation?
Yes, so there are some habits that you can include into your day. So one of them, which is really easy, is just to be mindful of your chewing, which sounds a little, like, oh, I feel like I don't really think about that and I'm just eating my meals. But if you really think about it, make sure to break all of your food down. Don't just chew 2 times and then swallow all your food, because it really helps to break everything down, and then your body has less to break down as it travels through your digestive system. So make sure to chew your food all the way through. Golden rule, you don't have to count all your chews, but the golden rule is about 20 chews. Everything's probably broken down by then.
I think I'll start counting all my chews.
After a little bit, you get used to it, but
used to it.
just, why not? Whatever works.
Yeah. No, I have, like, my oldest, like, we're always in a rush, or it's like a baseball game to something else. So sometimes it's just like I feel like he's not really chewing his food. It's just like
shoveling it down.
we just gotta get to that field, and it's just like, so I have to, like, sometimes tell him, like, make sure you're chewing.
It's something so simple, but we just don't think about it. And then we also want to make sure to be mindful with how we're eating, what we're eating. So depending on what you're eating, you want to, let's say you're about to have lunch, and you just are really looking forward to your lunch, whatever it is. I don't know what you have for lunch today. Let's say maybe it's a chicken salad sandwich, and you're just so excited to eat it. You've been working, you've been thinking all day, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to eat this chicken salad sandwich. So that's all you're thinking about. But if you want to take a check-in right before you're about to eat it and think, okay, do I just really want it or am I actually hungry? That is a really good way to practice mindful eating. So right before you're about to eat, or if you think you're about to make a meal, just think, am I actually hungry or am I just doing this because I'm bored? Maybe I'm just excited to eat my sandwich, and that's it. So your body knows a lot, and when it's hungry, it'll let you know. So you just got to listen to that, and if you're not hungry, you don't necessarily need to eat your sandwich yet. So that's a good way to do it.
So sometimes the nutrition label is really confusing. How can we avoid inflammatory ingredients when you pick up something at the supermarket?
Yeah, so nutrition facts can be a little confusing. There's so much wording, so many numbers on there. It can be a little overbearing too much. So if you look at the ingredients on the nutrition label, which is usually underneath the column of all the numbers and right at the bottom, it'll have big bold, it'll say ingredients. If you find any words in there that end with O-S-E or OS, usually that's a hidden sugar. Okay. So it can be hidden as something else. So it'll be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 OS. Mm-hmm. So then you're like, oh, I don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound too bad. It's just all these different secret sugars that are in there that are being added in. So if you see a lot of that in there, try to steer clear. And then also if you see some type of words like that you can't even pronounce in your foods, then maybe try to pick another box that has simple ingredients like that you would know of, like flour, rice, milk, egg. Yeah. You know, we all know what those are, right. But when it comes to so many different chemicals, so many different types of sugar that's added on, it can make it so confusing. So if you can't pronounce the word, maybe try not to eat it.
That's good advice.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.